I'm just going to switch to the main presentation.
Sorry.
Thank you, people are in the Let's do that.
All right, it seems like we are ready to start. Ladies and gentlemen, students and speakers, today we are not just celebrating our brightest minds, but we are celebrating potential, we are celebrating the dreams and the promises of the virus. I am program director for the course I work for you. I Sinazoma Tibana and those who are going to help me with this difficult job. So together we're here to celebrate the academic excellence and the remarkable achievements that our students hold in the department, of which we warmly welcome to this prestigious event. Today, I also have a pleasure of welcoming our distinguished guests. It is an honor to introduce our esteemed keynote speaker, Ms. Meg Wesh, the Unit Head of Capital and Funding Office at Google Development Corporation. We are also delighted to welcome the Deputy Dean, Professor May. And unfortunately, I don't think the Director of School of Economics is here. But I'm also delighted to welcome Professor Maho, who is the who is the head of department, and also Professor Mish, who is also the head of department for Department of Economics, and also Mr. Cook. In addition, I would like to extend a warm welcome to Professor Charles Wade, who is an emeritus professor in the Department of Economics. And before we go on any further, I would like us to have a 10 seconds moment of silence for everyone that we lost in the department in the 2022 academic year. Thank you. I also have the following few announcements before I introduce our first speaker. The first one, in the event that we encounter load shedding, I'm going to ask you to kindly remain seated. This means that I'm not expecting to see people running around if we have load shedding. And we have a generator that is waiting to kick off in a few seconds after that. Also, we have the bathrooms that are outside the door. There are signs there to guide you. Hope you don't get lost. And also, we have a community that is joining us live on YouTube. So if you're joining us live on YouTube, please feel welcome into this prestigious award. And please feel at home. And it is now my pleasure to introduce the Deputy Dean, Professor May, who will officially welcome us into this prestigious ceremony. With her inspiring words of wisdom, Professor May's dedication to academic excellence makes her the perfect choice for our faculty, and her unwavering commitment to our students make her the perfect candidate to set the tone right for this remarkable event. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome our very own Professor May. Thank you.
Very much for that. So, ladies and gentlemen, faculty members, Mika, and my brilliant academics and economics students of Nelson Mandela University, it's my pleasure just to welcome you here today. And it's the easiest job ever. So today we come together to celebrate academic excellence in the field of economics. The study of economics, and I understand I'm an HR practitioner, right? The study of economics is not just a subject. It's a way of understanding the world. It's about complex systems. It's a discipline in understanding our society, commerce, and global dynamics of the world that drive our planet. Right? And I was getting nods from my fellow academians that I'm obviously getting this right. Okay? But when we think of excellence, several names come to mind, and especially in the sports arena. Now, I will mention one because I'm very distantly related to him, and that is Roger Federer. I'm his ninth cousin removed. He doesn't know about me, but I know about him. And you also, when you talk excellence in tennis, you can't not talk about Nadal, Djokovic. We can talk about the Springboks that have just won the 4th World Cup. And if one analyzes what it takes to be considered excellence, you have to acknowledge that it's a journey. It's not just a destination. It's a journey of the pursuit of excellence that drives us forward. Right? It's, as economic students, you have to answer tough questions and find those solutions while on that journey to change our world. You also have to realize you're students in Africa. You're South African students in Africa, where we have a complex economic history, where we have rich resources, but yet we have major socio-economic challenges. This nation's an exciting laboratory. Now, sounds like you're a science student, okay? But it's an exciting laboratory for budding economists. Your presence here, the fact that you're going to receive a reward today, signifies your contribution and your commitment to excellence, and your commitment and contribution to trying to change the world and changing South Africa's growth and development. But we also operate in a global environment where we're all interconnected, where economists play a big role in addressing global challenges. And some of those will be climate change, income inequality, the impact of technology in advancing societies, and this is where your expertise is going to prove very invaluable. Just as your leaders, your academic leaders, have made an impact on policy and on the economy, and I'm looking at my colleagues here, they play a role in commenting on policy. Your dedication to your excellence is going to mean you're going to be doing that soon as well. And we look forward to seeing that. So, excellence is never an accident. It's a result of high intention. So you're going to have that desire to be excellent. You're also going to have to pay your rent every day. We've seen that cliche. You've got to pay rent every day to be a success. But that means you've got to have sincere effort. You've got to have intelligent direction. And you've got to try and execute this. Right? So today you are embodying this pursuit of excellence, and your future is bright with all the potential that you hold, and we're recognizing that today. So in closing, I understand your journey has not always been easy. It's been filled with challenges, but the winners out there see challenges as opportunities to make a difference. So as you embrace excellence in your life and beyond economics, And remember that your endeavors will not only impact South Africa, but will also impact the world. You are the future economists, the future policymakers, and thinkers that are going to drive the engine of progress. And we look forward to witnessing your remarkable journey. Thank you and welcome.
Thank you, Professor May, for sharing your valuable words with us. And then now I'd like to introduce our keynote speaker, Ms. Fitch. To better understand Ms. Fitch's remarkable journey, let's delve into her impressive CV. Now, Ms. Fitch is a very accomplished professional with a wealth of experience in the field of economic development. Now, currently serving as the unit head of the Capital and Funding Office of the Bucha Development Corporation. Ms. Fitch has been the forefront of driving the project pipeline development and also business cases and bankability, as well as advising on an appropriate of financial and funding of instruments, right? And capital raising. So her 16 years of full-time dedication to the Bucha development and corporation showcase her commitment to sustainable and socio-economic development, and also corporate social responsibility. Now also, she has held the position and has led remarkable achievements, including maintaining an average of 86% of local labor absorption, right? And earning recognition by the International Labour Organization as an international best practice site for her fair labor standards. Her impressive journey has also included as a manager for the Strategic Projects and Services (CETA), and also contributed to implementing and developing projects funded by the National Skills Fund. Ms. Fitch's extensive experience is underpinned by her academic qualifications, and including her MSc in Financial Economics from the University of London, and also a BA Honours Industrial and Labour Economics obtained from the University of Port Elizabeth. Now, having great insights into Ms. Fitch's outstanding career and achievements, also now I invite her to deliver and address and share her knowledge with all of us. Thank you.
Those kind words. Thank you, Professor May. Good afternoon. In his absence, Professor Nzadi, Director of the school, heads of department, Professors Nishi, Professor Marvel, and Mr. Cook, and the man who taught me fourth-year labor economics and so much else, Professor Charles Wade, Professor Emeritus in the Department of Economics. At least I did mention that. Faculty, alumni, family, and friends of these inspirational achievers whom we have gathered here to celebrate today. It is such an honor to speak to you, my alma mater, this afternoon. To those whom we are honoring for their contributions today and your community of peers, I remind you that the Nelson Mandela School of Economics is your intellectual home and your community. It has brought you together, it has challenged you, and it has inspired you. At times, I hope it has also overwhelmed you, as it has me. For that would have been what transformed you from hopeful, curious individuals into passionate and inspired economists who practice with fortitude and resilience. Resilience is born from hope, and it is your resilience that will make the challenges you face surmountable and ensure that the opportunities that come your way are exciting to you rather than daunting. But it is your empathy for others that will secure a better future for us all and make your journey meaningful. I'm also a graduate of the EMU, as you've heard, And I was part of the class of 1991, which means that I'm pretty much ancient. You and I are part of the same community. We are spread across the globe. We are intentional, we are passionate, we are committed, we are creative, and yes, we are still working on solving the problem of poverty. We are also friendly, and we stand ready to provide you with fellowship and encouragement, and when needed, an anchor as you bravely venture out in stormy seas, for that is where you must do our work. Economics in the practice is a blood sport. And to truly practice it with intent and integrity on this contested terrain we find ourselves is not a call the faint-hearted, the lily-livered, and the poor of spirit can answer. We find our resilience in the humanity of others and in our connection to those who share our values and our experiences, including from university. It is our ability to empathize that makes us collectively resilient and hopeful, and this we must remain if we are to live up to our calling. For as economists, the future of so many is indeed in our hands, as your university motto enjoins you to be mindful of. Economics for me is a lifelong passionate love affair, and I hope it is for you too. There are times of exquisite torture as we struggle with the issues of the day, but there are also times of great triumph and joy. The Cold War had only just ended when I ventured forth starting out as a floor trader in New York, and that was my very early career. The promise of democracy had extended itself here at home, where we saw our first democratic elections, and across Europe as the Berlin Wall came down and the colour revolution spread. Regardless of where we came from, there was such a shared sense of purpose. As a South African, I was deeply impressed having seen the first fruits of social justice in our beautiful land. We were part of a world where history was being made, and there was a strong sense that we were on the right side of history. Still, it wasn't a world without shadows. That August, images of starving men and war in Europe crowded the newspapers. This was followed soon by images of war and ethnic cleansing on our beloved continent, flooding our television screen. Here at home, those in desperate need of treatment as they faced the scourge of HIV/AIDS had to start the struggle for social justice anew. We were so enamored with the promise of globalism, which lifted millions in the developing world out of poverty, that we did not see the dangers lurking in the rapid financialization of the global economy and the excesses of the neoliberal economic order soon enough. We were in such euphoria at the dawn of democracy that for fear of placing our fragile reconciliation at risk, we papered over vast chasms of enduring injustice in our country, and we failed to have the hard conversations needed to overcome the structural divides that plague us still. At the time, the stakes could not have been higher. Reeling from the murder of Chris Hani, the country was dangerously close to tipping into a full-scale civil war. Should we have insisted, we might have been able to leave a so much better South Africa for our children, and no doubt these are debates that you are having as you enter economics. Did both our courage and faith fail us then? If we had pushed the issue, there was we could have left something better, or we could have risked the ravages of the war, because the risk of civil war at that time was very real. Did wisdom prevail? And history and you will judge my generation for that. We created the financial crisis like so many generations of economists before us. But we were in good company. Both John Maynard Keynes and Irving Fisher lost millions in the stock market crash of 1929. With Fisher famously proclaiming in the pages of the New York Times 2 weeks before the crash that stock prices have reached what looks like a permanently high plateau. Yet these are the neoclassical theorists we turn to in the aftermath of the 2008 financial crisis. As we sought to manage the contagion and the orderly deflation of the speculative bubbles and debt overhangs of the age of exuberance. And oh, did we drive those speculative asset prices and IPO valuations to dizzying heights in the run-up to the dot-com boom. Fresh out of the bond vigilantism of the Mexican tequila crisis and the East Asian crisis, we thought we were invincible. And as globalization took off, we were lifting millions out of poverty around the world. The CEO of the investment bank I worked for at the time told us that we were doing God's work, and we believed it. Many of our assumptions that drove our generation forward, that our vision for the good life, democracy at home, and the liberal international order abroad could not only sustain us, but also those previously excluded, have proven to be wrong, or at least far more complicated than we thought. Every society clings to a myth by which it lives. Ours is the myth of economic growth, which for the last 5 decades has been the single most important policy goal across the world. The global economy is almost 5 times the size it was 50 years ago, and if it continues to grow at the same rate, it will be 80 times the size by the year 2100. This extraordinary ramping up of global economic activity has no historical precedent, and it is totally at odds with our scientific knowledge of the finite resource base on which we depend on for our survival. I am no longer so sure that we are on the right side of history. The myth of growth has failed us. It has failed the 2 billion people who still live on less than $2 a day. It has failed the fragile ecological systems on which we depend on for our survival. It has failed spectacularly in its own terms to provide economic stability and secure people's livelihoods. Growth has delivered its benefits at best unequally. A fifth of the world's population earns just 2% of global income. Inequality is higher in the OECD nations than it was 20 years ago. And while the rich got richer, middle-class incomes in developed economies remain stagnant in real terms. And far from raising the standard of living for those who most needed it, our version of growth let most of the world's population down, while wealth trickled up to the lucky few. For the most part, we avoid the stark reality and the implications by clinging to the default assumption that growth must continue at all costs, especially for the poorest countries where a better quality of life is undeniably needed. The reasons for this collective blindness are easy enough to find. When growth falters, as it has done recently, politicians panic. Businesses struggle to survive. People lose their jobs and their homes. Those already in precarious circumstances fall through the crack, and a spiral of recession begins. This is our greatest fear as economists. For my generation, questioning growth was the act of lunatics and idealists, but question it wins. Complex systems are fragile, and they create self-reinforcing feedback loops. This I learned again during COVID. Several ratings agencies downgraded emerging market economies, including most of the economies in Africa, during the COVID pandemic on the assumption that their health systems would fail and that they would run into fiscal crises. We should have expected it. It certainly wasn't the first time that ratings agencies have adopted a pro-cyclical approach. During the 2008 financial crisis, rating agencies were accused of aggressively downgrading European countries whose economies were already strained, causing turmoil in sovereign bond markets and hardship that could have been avoided on the streets. They did the same during the 1997 East Asian financial crisis. And in all instances, we find that the downgrades were more than what would be justified by the country's fundamentals. Ratings downgrades have consequences, and as international capital took flight, we found ourselves in the midst of a bond market crisis here at home, one that could have collapsed our already fragile economy entirely at a time when 5.7 million people lost their jobs and children in Pedi were eating grass for lack of food. Were it not for the leadership of the South African Reserve Bank, the willingness of the banks, who had major exposure to sovereign bonds, to hold fast and to stand strong, and the efforts of a collective of like-minded private and public sector economists and financial market practitioners who staged and sustained possibly the largest bond market intervention in South African history, trading into the wee hours of the night during those 21 days of lockdown. I shudder to think what the alternative would have been. Many of those traders did this public service at a time when there was a lot of money to be made from the crisis. They could have chosen to spend their time shorting the markets, but they chose to protect it. And this is what ethics and empathy does. We were doing God's work again, but sometimes we fail. The disinformation and the distrust that raged during the crisis reminded us again on how fragile our social fabric remains. We are all in this together, they said. Really? When half of us lose our livelihoods with no reasonable prospect of recovery, when what is protected like the economy was given accessible to us, what we are seeing presenting as an anti-vax sentiment at the time was in fact a profound manifestation of an existential crisis. Globally, the experiences of many years have taught people to assume official sources are lying until we can find evidence that would convince us otherwise. And that evidence is not. The majority of the global population are not trained in critical thinking or biological and scientific understanding. And they remain functionally illiterate and prone to base rate fallacy. This is true for populations in developed economies too. Combined with pre-existing cognitive biases and social alienation, you have the psychological equivalent of a Molotov cocktail. One we saw erupt in the June riots not long after. This is the start of the African century. Now more than ever, we need to start thinking about how we grow. And we need to start asking who benefits and who is being left behind. We have elected some leaders that are less than the sum of our parts. And we have seen a dramatic increase in inequality over the past 30-odd years that I have been practicing. In fact, we are now so divided that the very notion that there is a we is deeply problematic. We are now at a time when the need for leadership and courage to create and sustain a unifying vision has never been greater. You are the leaders whose voices we need to hear now, and I urge you to raise your voices sharply for social justice and for environmental stewardship. Use the sound grounding that you are receiving here to sing the truth and name those that would seek to delude us and practice the dark arts of rent extraction, while keeping the rest of us in the bonds of poverty by squandering our future. Yours is not a call to prayer and supplication. I fervently hope that this generation will have the courage to remind us that Ubuntu is more than just a word on a glossy pamphlet somewhere, and what integrity looks like when it is practiced. Here at home, we are yet again at an inflection point. We have failed to deliver a better life for the majority of our people. We are now at a time where our country is being weakened from within by the crimes committed by members of the social, political, and economic elite, who appear at no risk of their assets being seized and their reputations trashed. While vast tracts of our fellow humanity are being progressively immiserated and condemned to the indignity of poverty. Globally, the clouds of war and the spectre of financial crisis are again darkening our horizons. The venerated sons of our soil of yesterday are a distant memory, and now is the time for the young lions to rise. And how eagerly we await your law. In 1991, we had it easy. The world had voted with its feet for democracy, for freedom, and for revolution. At some level, all we had to do was to go out and implement. Your generation will have to imagine a new vision. But in doing so, you will have to summon the courage to fail as we have, while daring greatly. You are living at a time of great division, when even the facts can no longer be taken for granted. Which brings me to the motto of one of the other schools I attended later in life, the rerum cognoscere causes, which means that we seek to know the causes of things. For when we do, we can direct the energy of the soul as the catalyst for the world we want to see. When I first saw a 3D printer at work, it dawned on me that the production possibilities frontier had been solved. Imagine the possibilities that now present. I hear a lot of gloom surrounding the emergence of the fourth industrial revolution, and I'm struck at how our fear makes us so small. When the technologies that this era will bring will allow us to solve problems we never could before. We spoke about Irving Fisher earlier. Recent research has now shown that even when using modern statistical techniques and adding some retrospectively compiled time series data to those available to Fisher at the time, it would not have been possible to predict the onset, length, and depth of the Great Depression by time series analysis. It was necessary for Fisher to fail spectacularly, for us to be able to build forward better and develop the tools we now have. We claim the majority of our people are unemployable for lack of skills, yet 4IR makes the very notion of skill obsolete in roughly 80% of working class occupations. Now that this constraint is lifted, what will this bring? Surely this is a time when we can work to free our huddled masses from the drudgery of repetitive, process-driven work that has so little value, it condemns those who perform it to decades of insecurity and low wages. Should we not start recognizing that the labour market itself will soon be obsolete in the form we now know it? Shall we not focus instead on owning and selling our labour, how we can ensure that the ownership of productive technology is structured such that those working menial occupations can now deploy to their benefit? As finance disintermediates in the wake of distributed ledger technologies, can the ownership of technology not similarly disintermediate? We are already seeing early trends in the gig market where freelancers are successfully leveraging generative AI to enhance their productivity to levels impossible before. For the first time in our history, ownership of the very means of production is within reach of the commons. Here is opportunity. Every industrial revolution before this was greeted with dread and despair, yet they left unprecedented prosperity and very real positive impacts in their wake. It was the age of the coal-fired steam engine that gave us mass transport, manufacturing, and that ended the indignity and indentured labour of human society. It brought freedom of movement, the ability to sell our labour in an open market, and it allowed people to enjoy the fruits of their labour rather than having it accrue to some landowner. But it also created the labour market as a perpetual tension between capital and labour. This was 200 years ago, and the world that gave birth to it no longer lives. We need to revisit our construct of factor markets on a fundamental level, for if we don't, we will continue to see in the labour market, for example, the displacement of labour as a threat and not as the gift it is. Fortune favours the bold, and I ask you, to be bold enough not to accept economic theory as it presents, and allow it to constrain your thinking. There is a value in the naivete of youth, because you come with no preconceived ideas as you first seek to discover. Your discovery process is so much deeper and wider. That said, recognize and revisit what still has value, and there's a lot of value to be had in failure as you too start your journey of building a kinder and more inclusive world. Our next financial crisis, I think, will likely start in the sovereign bond markets, and it is unlikely that the multilateral institutions will be able to contain the contagion and fallout as the everything bubble starts deflating. The question is, how do we deflate orderly and how do we deal with the aftermath? I find Fisher relevant now because it explains why aggregate demand responds to an initial shock by more than what would be predicted by a representative consumer model, and because it considers the importance of distributional shocks in the transmission mechanism of both monetary and fiscal and real shocks. But of course, I could be on the wrong track again. And this is the beauty of the journey. By the way, while working on this project, it occurred to me that with the launch of central digital currencies, central banks may well end up disintermediating the commercial and investment banks. Now, that is an interesting topic to look at for future researchers. In conclusion, I'll leave you with this. Our collective success will depend on our ability to create a vision of our world that recognizes that if the economy does not work for the least of us, it works for none of us. This will take passion, vision, grit, but most of all, it will take empathy. I can think of no better starting point than to be part of a university that is so inspired, so diverse, so developmental, and so dynamic as the Nelson Mandela University. And in this, I leave you with a call to courage to dare greatly, as Theodore Roosevelt put it. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who's actually in the arena, whose face is marked by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes up short again and again, who knows great enthusiasms, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and at worst, if he fails, at least he fails while daring greatly, so that his fate shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. You're being well prepared here, and I admire the work that you are doing. Halala.
Thanks, Ms. for such an enlightening help us set the tone for the entire event. So now you have provided us with profound perspective on how to connect excellence, sustainability, and also societal impact. Now I like something that you said, that NMU is our intellectual home. Indeed, we are being greatly challenged here, but we know that it is for the best. Let me introduce myself. As Bomba has said, I am Snazoma Dikane, currently doing my postgraduate diploma in applied economics, also working at the business school as a research assistant. So now as we continue with our noting this excellent student is only the result of their hard work, but also education of our. So now as we commence with the proceedings of the day, by the power vested in me, oh my goodness, I have waited so long to use that line. I would like my heartfelt congratulations to the award recipients tonight. You have done a great job. Now I know the congratulations does not go out to you two, but to everyone else who supports you in the background, be it your parents, your siblings, or your mentors. And also, now I'm going to be calling out, so presenting the awards in 3 parts. So we have the undergrad and the postgrad. So I will be handling the diplomas. I would like to call up for jobs diploma students. My voice protecting will, is it? Okay.
Just.
So I kindly ask that our award recipient just pause for a minute after receiving the award to allow our professional photographer to take a picture. So on the in second place we have Miss Kilebogile Constance Mokome. And I think it is noteworthy that these students are overall performance in the diploma in economics first year. So in first place, we have Ms. Kushen Kashane. Still on the diploma in economics second year. In second place, we have Place Anat John. First time. In first year, second place. Sorry, in second year, second place, we have Take third year diploma in economics extended. Second place, Mr. Gerard Kyle Jacobs. Diploma in economics extended. Miss Nomusa Kodalia Gianni. In first place, we have Thank you so much, Mr. Johnson. Now calling Ms. Sikunyana to hand over the advanced diploma in economics certificates. Second place, advanced diploma in economics, we have Ms. Esona Sibabalo Jaha. Anna, present the Bachelor of Economics. Second, in first place, we have Mr. Ronald Ignatius. In second place, we have second place, we have Ms. Chantal Panache Mashoya Momo. In first place, Galiso. Third year, second place, we have Mr. Daniel Anthony Abrahams. And in first place, we have Ms. Vanessa Muyano Mapoli. I will now have I'd like to call to hand over the certificate. Okay, so this is the Bachelor of Commerce, General Economics extended, right? So I'd like to call for second place, Ms. Dabalo Shileke. Okay, and in first case, and the resolving. Okay. Second place is award, but for first place we have Ms. Esetu Suzuka. Okay. Third year, second place award, but for first place we have Mr. Sobani Machau. Fourth year, second place we have Ms. Tandiwe Priscilla Smaka. And for first place we have Ms. Samikwa Sinza. Okay, now Bachelor of Commerce, Economics, and Stats, right? So first year, second place is Ms. Sinazo Patel. And in first place, we have No Caesar Patela Siadla. So sorry, guys. Second place is Mr. Asiwele, the one. And in first place, we have Ms. Mudelinchi Daka. And we'll just have commerce, logistics, and transport economics. First year, second place is Ms. Fugani Machoro. States we have Ms. Impire NG Nabosa. And now we take second year. Third year, second case is Ms. Nico Swagani. The first case we have, oh, sorry, flash tilted, so you. Now, thank you. I'd like to call upon Kufelo Songwan. So, first year, second year, this is a word, but for third year, second place, we have Ms. Tuma and in the first case, we have Ms. Notula Sheng. Oh, and I'd like to hand over to Mr. Guillermo for post-grad.
And I'm back for the Beyonce of categories. Okay, I'm back for the postgraduate awards. I hope my postgrads are ready for the stage. Ms. Kolofelo is going to help me with that. We start off with a postgraduate diploma in applied economics. Second place, David Matozoma. And first place, we call up Apelele Notutu. And now we are going to the Bachelor of Commerce honors in economics. And the second place is the one and only Cornelia Mormoma. I'm sorry for that. Dr. Figueroa is going to help with become honors in economics and overall certificates. And now we are going to call Mr. Nenele Ruba in first place for Bachelor of Commerce. And now we are going to ask Prof. May to help us with the heading of Master of Commerce in Economics coursework and research, as well as Master of Commerce Economics and Research. Thank you so much. And in second place, we have the one and only Mr. Robert Nyaipeza. And in first place, we have Mr. Inambo Mahere Wimba. Now, the last one is the Doctor of Philosophy, which is PhD. We have first place, we have Dr. Maseti Mozopo. Thank you so much, and congratulations to everyone who has received the awards today. As we come to the conclusion of the Department of Economics Annual Awards Ceremony, on behalf of the entire department, I wish to once again congratulate all the award recipients. Your dedication, hard work, and exceptional accomplishments are a testimony to heights of excellence that they can be reached. However, today's recognition is also a call to keep pushing boundaries of your own potential. To those who did not receive awards today, remember that excellence is not limited to a single moment, but a lifelong pursuit. You too also have the potential to make a significant impact, to shape a better tomorrow, and live up to our own legacy motto of change the world. Please use this day as a springboard to drive your aspirations and ambitions. Also, keeping in mind that excellence has no boundaries, and your dedication can truly change the world. I might have opened the show, but I do not have the powers to close the show. So it is now my honor to call upon our very own Professor Saidi Bishi, the head of the Department of Economics, to help us close this one. Help me welcome the HOD.
We are here all because we recognize excellence and we value it so much. But I think before I say anything, it's just good to give these individuals that are here and those that are online that are celebrating that they made us come here, just another round of applause. Yes, we are Department of Economics, and our name is very synonymous with excellence. Only until that E in economics has changed, then that is only when we don't talk about excellence. Until then, we continue to associate ourselves with excellence, and we demand it, but we also deliver it, because you have seen the staff members that were coming through here. They also know very well how to teach in an excellent way, how to also really manage all programs in that way. Know that we are here not only because we're too good, we're too smart, and I think the recently concluded World Cup taught us the value of 1 point. That 1 point can take you very far. In some instances, you have become the top student just because of 1 point. Maybe you just studied 1 additional hour. Maybe you just listened to that concluding point by the lecturer. That 1 point has made a difference. 1 point can make big difference. So I want to remind ourselves of that. And I think we also have a number of people that have played a role for us to be here as students. We celebrate that we are with you, but we know that you come very far. And some are also online, joining online to celebrate with you. Your family, friends, and the like, we actually acknowledge them as well. And there might be some that are wondering, how can I also be part of this particular vendor of excellence? All you need to know is that we have different programs that actually get you to where these individuals are. Whether you have your, you're writing your matric now and you realize that I just have less than 310 AS score. What can I do to get into economics? Our sister department has got higher certificates. You can actually get into higher certificates. After that, you get into the diploma in economics. And you can excel up to the doctorate level where we can.
No, your nerves come in your.
Hey, I'm not very relaxed today.
One would say, I am above 210, but I don't have, above 370 score. I'm talking, I know that there are those that are online that are wondering, how can we be part of this? You can get into a diploma. We have the diploma, so you can get straight into the diploma. If you have that AS score that is very high, 370 plus, you can get straight into the BCom qualification. And we can also celebrate with you following year and years to come. We want you to be a part of us, and we don't end there. This excellence that you see here, some of the awardees are not here, not because they just didn't want to be here. Some have moved into employment, some have further education, some are just in various places. And we have realized that our students also continue to excel. If I can just and possibly give you just recent examples in the month of November, because if I go through the whole year, then it's just going to be a long list. So I'm just going to be mean and telling you what happened possibly this past week, so that you can see how our students continue to excel. We have, for example, Ms. Macmillan is a PhD student whose paper won the Best Paper Presentation Award at the National Institute of Humanities and Social Sciences only this week. This is part of the excellence. We have Ms. Yana Magazi, who is our master's student, who has recently been appointed as development economist this month. These are just examples that I'm giving you, but our students do not just talk about the maths itself in class, but also they excel outside the classroom. And I think you've also seen the three that were excelling here in front of us. These are our students. They are excelling again here in directing the program. That is what we do in the Department of Economics. And this is what I want to remind us, that it is the excellence that we know. We also do not talk about number one, we don't talk about number two, but we talk about excellence. It is excellence. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the Economic Research Southern Africa for the partial funding. You have seen, I think, the certificates for the green qualification. They have a lot of Economic Research Southern Africa. They funded those awards. The top position to the tune of 1,000 rands, and the second best to the tune of 800 rands, and the certificate. We really acknowledge their support, their continued support. And also, the department has then funded the rest of the other awards. So for that, we say thank you to the funders of this particular event. And to the institution, through the faculty and the school, we really also appreciate for that opportunity that we continue to excel in the way that we do it. this event would not have been a success without a strong steering committee that has been behind the scenes and making sure that all is set up. Is Sharon Chesendorf? Is there Erasmus? Is Elizabeth Woodley? Is Sinfes Sikunyana? I think you have been making also a comment to say, look, the demographics are looking good. And you continue to know that the demographics are looking good. Also, I want to acknowledge the colleagues within the department, and we are in the middle of exams. Some of them are busy invigilating, busy marking. Some students that were to also to receive awards here, they are writing the examination. It has to do with the timing, but not an explanation for that at the moment. But I want to acknowledge and appreciate each and every member within the department for the great work that they are doing to produce such kind of students. We have the service providers. This venue, as you see how beautiful it is, then the IT support, that those that are able to follow through the proceedings online. We have Mr. Charlie Keva, Agent Becker, and Mr. Syed Abrams that are really doing the wonders to ensure that we remain connected, voice projected, and continue to be live. And I think you have seen there are those that have got the ticket to be just roaming around the venue. You have seen Mr. Photographer, we really also acknowledge him. And really even the providers of the marketing material, our sister department like accounting, supporting us also with the marketing material, the podium that we're speaking from, we really also appreciate all that. Later on, you're going to be invited to just some wrapper, and we also acknowledge the catering team for that. And these students, they can tell you, when they come into the institution, they meet their academic administration all through their way, and along the way, sometimes also having difficult discussions with academic administration. Sometimes we just, no, you can't register that. No, we have to be registered that. We also acknowledge all those support departments as well that ensure that students move in line with the curriculum, and we are able to celebrate this kind of success. The colleagues, Mr. Cook, we really appreciate, and we really have a beautiful program here that we share logistics and transport economics, and we acknowledge really your presence as well, and wherever your support. That goes on. There's sometimes where you feel that you are sitting on the shoulders of giants, and those that really walk the path that continue to guide. Professor Wade, we continue to acknowledge your support. Right. I have also the possibly big task then to really make some other people sense, and we able to also really acknowledge them in a better way. So may I ask our guest speaker, Mrs. to come forward. As you were talking, I was just like giving another eye to the students and to say, to hear that, possibly in the next assessment you get a question from it, because you were really on and challenging us that with the resources that we have, with the models that we have been having, with the growth that we have been celebrating, but we still have these socio-economic challenges. Where are we going? What is it that we need to do? The answer is among these minds that we are going to have a better world only if they are willing to take that challenge. And at Mandela University, we are prepared to the contribution of that, changing the world in a better way. And I'm very much positive that they will be able to do that. So very soon you will start to see them coming through, telling you that we have these brilliant ideas. Just give us some space that we can showcase. And I hope that your office doors will also be wide open to receive them, and that they can demonstrate how much they have learned in this institution and what they can do to try to help to answer all those kind of questions that you were posing. I'm confident that they can be able to do that. With a very short here, I'm going to ask for me to come forward to help us. Yes. come to problem. Yes, we are over to our. Thank you so much, and we appreciate Kuka for giving you time to come to be with us. All right, we feel the warmth, we feel supported, so we can be able to do whatever we can do. I grew up on a farm, and we know that when the rains are good and when the soil is also good, then even the not so good farmer can produce a good yield. So we're producing a good yield, not because we're too good, but the environment allows us to do that. Professor May, can you come? What? Thank you so much for the time, and this is a small token of appreciation from us as we are good with the gifting, the declaration, and everything else. That is something that we can. Thank you so much. Sometimes you forget who has been directing us, and you have met the great order of things, isn't it? I'd like to call upon our program directors so that at least I can be able to direct you. Professor Jenkins, you can come through to up there. You can come to the three program directors. John, job is finished. Again? I don't know how many events have you attended that have got 3 program directors. For me, this is the first. And they often say 3 is out, so sometimes we say, okay, that's going to be promotion everywhere. But I think we actually justify that. It went on very smoothly, and thank you so much for that. Ms. Ntokozo, Tatayo.
All right.
Yes, Ms. Liema Popi and Ms. Nazoma. Thank you so much for the question. Thank you. All right. I mentioned for people that were very much instrumental to this, if they can come forward. Ms. Essendorf, Mr. Rasmus, Smoothly, Ms. Kunyana. Because people are asking me, where are these 4 individuals? You see my gray hair? you can understand. Trying to answer their multiple questions. You say, we want this, How can we do this? We want this. How can we do this? But I'll just be what. So, ladies, thank you so much for all the great work that you have done. You know, it's just a work, but I really appreciate what thank you. All right. Really, it is always safe to say that those that I could not name, if I missed your name, you are all thanked, and we really appreciate the support. He didn't even his apology. He's always a support. Last year we were also with him, and we really acknowledge support made. Tell him that we felt this warmth as well as we go through the program. At this juncture, I would like to say you are all invited to some. Cheryl is whispering something. There is a good number for everyone, and feel free to enjoy it. We might not have the sounds that would make you lay the head down, but surely you are going to really punch onto something and network and enjoy. It's very much free space that you have to interact. So continue to do that. But I think before then, you want the whole group that can come through now. So every awardee come through, and then we also, so we first have the group of awardee only, then with the guest speaker and deputy dean, then yeah, what do we do? Okay. All right, so please come through. For our IT, you can ask for the cutting off of the lights here. Then we are able to have the whole group of photos. And you are free to be taking photos as then we do. So please come with the certificate and come forward. You don't look heavy. So they are thinking about the next exam and whatnot, but you don't want to get an award today and then tomorrow there is no. So I understand. Okay.
Where the remotes is.
So you're going to be flanked by the deputy dean and Lucy. So you flank them, please, if you don't mind.
Thank you guys, it was so
Professor.
we really appreciate it so much. Thank you for being with me at the end.
You guys can cancel this thing. You're gonna